Well, there's a lot of news. In particular, of course, Musk laid off apparently half the workers at Twitter yesterday. People are freaking out, screaming, complaining, of course. Some people say he did it in an illegal way, although he says that he gave people 90 days severance pay and he's only required to give them 60. So maybe that's true. He certainly does have a long history of just completely ignoring the laws and rolling right over them and getting away with it, very much like Donald Trump. Anyway, he cut all the people involved apparently in content moderation and equity and everything like that because I think primarily because he's pretty much now a right-winger and doesn't believe in any of that stuff, but also I think because his idea is you don't need any artificial content moderation where you judge the quality of what people say. What you need to do is charge people money, and then all the criminals won't pay money to say bad things. That's his idea. He hasn't explained his position, but I'm pretty sure that's it. His logic is if everybody has to pay $8 a month, then nobody can afford to run bot farms anymore, and he believes that the only thing you want to get rid of is bots, automated accounts. Anything that a real human wants to say, you should let them say it. And but almost all the advertisers have pulled out. And in fact, I saw a thread on Twitter where a guy said what really happens is there is a meeting once a year where advertisers buy a whole year of advertising in advance. And that is your stable source of income. And that meeting was held a few months ago. And because of Musk, who has been, jerking Twitter around, saying he's going to buy them, then canceling it, then demanding things, since the new CEO never got any power, they were very concerned about Twitter at that time. It was very unclear who was running it and what the rules would be, so nobody bought in advance. So now Twitter is entering the new year with no guaranteed income at all. And that's the real problem. But anyway, he's laying off everybody, and the mainstream media I listen to, everybody's saying this is a disaster, he's a fool, he's destroying Twitter. But of course, the billionaire class feels otherwise because Musk has a reputation of running huge companies and making money on them anyway. And so you can read this kind of stuff, and I recommend it. That's what a lot of people say, and that might well be true. But if you want the alternative, I highly recommend the All In podcast. This is the other point of view. These guys are billionaires, tech investors. They're from San Francisco, at least Jax is, and they worked with Musk at eBay, and they're helping him at Twitter. And they have the other side, which is that Musk is doing the right thing. We're going into a huge recession. Stocks are falling like crazy. Tech stocks are down 70 or 80%. And what everybody else needs to do is fire half their staff too immediately. They say anybody that does less than huge cuts right now is just going to go broke and vanish. Only the companies that make ruthless cuts now are going to survive. And so it's interesting to hear their perspective. You won't hear it from the mainstream media. And it's hard to know who is right. But anyway, but I think they're thinking longer term than the mainstream media. For example, one thing is during COVID, we had a financial policy in America of printing an incredible amount of money without paying for it and distributing it, and that inflated the stock market and the cryptocurrency and everything. For the last 2 years, there was just a ton of extra money, and companies were just throwing that money around like it was only going to keep raining money, and now that has stopped. And he said, you just need to go back to what you were planning in like 2019 and pick up from there and pretend the last 2 years didn't happen, which might very well be true. So anyway, it certainly has released a lot of technical people and non-technical people, tech workers of various kinds, out onto the job market. Many, many other San Francisco companies are also laying people off. One exception is Atlassian. Atlassian, their stock has fallen as much as everyone else, but they have a theory that they can still hire them. So they're going to hire these people, and they say, now you're getting a chance to get the good people that are usually not in the market because companies hold on to them. So we will see what happens. And it all depends on how long this recession is going to be. But I think all historical precedent suggests this recession is going to be a long time, like another year or year and a half, before things get back to normal. So anyway, then a bunch of people, the NFTs have fallen to like 5% of their previous market, essentially gone completely, but people are buying metaverse land, which is another crazy thing. I mean, Facebook has destroyed the valuation of their entire company on this. Zuckerberg is still all in on spending all these resources to get in the metaverse, even though it doesn't seem to be working at all. So, however, apparently he has to do that because apparently Facebook is unfashionable and going down, and he has to change something. So, anyway, people are buying land in the metaverse as a land investment, and this means, of course, since it's virtual, and you could in principle start another virtual environment and have another ton of land to sell, that they're trusting that the one they're investing in will be the one that survives and becomes the standard, and therefore land in that artificial universe will be of value. So it is a high-risk investment, but it may have a high reward if the metaverse does in fact take off. And if you do get laid off, there's a useful guide here from someone called collectiveaction.tech explaining how to handle getting laid off. Useful information. Your rights, your legal rights, how much you can trust a company, what you should do to find a new job, what you should do if they make unreasonable requests at your company, how to get your data out of there, how to handle logins, considering issues of your benefits, and whether you are a for-cause termination. This is something that Musk did immediately on the first day. He disapproved of the management of Twitter. He felt like they were moving Twitter in the wrong direction, so he fired all the top executives the first day he got in, and he fired them for cause, which means if he gets away with that, he doesn't have to give them their typical retirement benefits or firing benefits, which is like their golden parachute. And from what I hear, at least from Scott Galloway anyway, a business professor at Stern, is that this is outrageous and illegal, and he can't do that. He said they haven't done anything remotely bad enough to justify firing them for cause, and they will just sue and win, and you'll have to pay them those benefits. So attempting to fire them for cause is just some kind of petulant show of emotion or something on that order, which again is very much like Trump, and Elon is character very much like that, into like vengeance and petty revenge and on people and symbolic statements and ignoring the law. Those are all his standard procedures. So we'll see. But anyway, if they do fire you for cause, if they're able to prove that they fired you for cause, like you committed a crime, then they don't have to give you your benefits when you leave. Anyway, there's a lot of useful information there for people who are getting laid off, which is a big issue in San Francisco and everywhere else where Twitter is, and in many other tech companies. Binance is the main crypto exchange, the biggest one, selling cryptocurrencies. It is overseas, and Americans are not allowed to make accounts on Binance. I noticed that before. If you want to purchase anything on Binance, you have to go through cutouts and stuff to do it. And the reason is because Binance is seriously in violation of American financial law. They have opened a branch called Binance America to serve American customers, and they've tried to say that it is independent, although this seems to be just an illusion. It's not really independent, but the point is they don't follow Know Your Customer regulations, and they don't obey our sanctions. And in particular, they're trading with Iran. And anyway, the argument at Reuters, it seems to be that what they're doing in Iran is not exactly illegal because they don't have American customers on their exchange. But anyway, it's this American branch may be illegal, and there will be undoubtedly lawsuits and such about it. One huge problem with the whole cryptocurrency space, which Coinbase has talked about a lot, is that the law is incredibly unclear. It's not clear whether crypto assets are a security or a commodity, and that makes a huge difference legally. And both the Securities and Exchange Commission and the Commodity Futures Trading Corp, whatever it is, the organization that oversees them, have both claimed that they own it and tried to pass rules contradicting each other, and nobody really knows what's going on. So a company like Coinbase, which is founded in San Francisco and very determined to obey the law, finds it very difficult to obey the law because it is very unclear what the laws are. And they complain about that a lot. They say, here we are obeying rules, we're making decisions to comply with what we think your rules are, which put us at a disadvantage with our competitors, and we wish you guys would make up your mind what the rules are. But that's not happening anytime soon. All right, so this is an interesting issue. apparently the passport database has been used by law enforcement and intelligence agencies without any search warrant or probable cause or anything. They've been just using it, and that's a lot of people. That's me. That's anybody, any American with a passport. They've been using this as sort of a runaround around the Fourth Amendment. So that's an interesting issue, and Ron Wyden is always the guy in charge of this. He seems to be always the guy protecting your rights from invasions of this sort, from tech issues of technical databases being used by government. He's pushing back, and we'll see what comes of it. This is a new scandal, as opposed to the many other issues of search warrants, searching people at the border, searching seized cell phones, and the many other privacy issues. So, anyway, that's enough of the news.